It's time for another top 10 list. Hi everyone, hello. So I'm Leah, and today we are going to look at some more favorite books of all time. So this time, as you've already noticed, it's about horror books. So these are the top 10 favorite horror books that I've ever read. And yeah, just as a reminder, I do this series with all kinds of different genres, and I never repeat a book in a different category, and I also rank these books. So we're going to start with number 10 and moving up to number 1, the best book in this case, the horror genre. So yeah, I'll hope you'll enjoy it, and let's just get right into it. So coming up at number 10 is Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. It's a very, not controversial book, but there are mixed opinions on it for sure. I know that some people absolutely hate it or just think it's okay. I don't think that it's perfect in any sense, but it was entertaining. I really liked the concept, and I did like the execution for the most part. So this follows, I don't know how many, like 5 horror authors from different types of horror styles. Like, we have some extreme horror authors in there, but also some that are maybe similar to middle grade horror series writers. So yeah, all kinds of stuff, and they all meet together and they will spend some time in this haunted house on the cover. And yeah, I think they do it to write a new book. I don't really remember what the reason behind it was, or just as a challenge to spend some time in there. I don't remember, but yeah, some spooky stuff is happening within the house, and I think the atmosphere was very good. So I liked the writing in that sense, and yeah, as I've said, I like the idea of different horror authors meeting in their writing, talking, spooky stuff happening. So yeah, I don't know, I think it was enjoyable. The ending was, not really my taste, a little too action-packed, but yeah, this is not going to be a review. I do recommend this book, so yeah, it's not the best, but it's not bad. Next up is this teeny tiny little novella. It's called Womb by Duncan Ralston, and yeah, I've read it on Kindle first, but I thought it was very good, so I had to purchase a physical copy for myself. It's really short. I don't know how much to tell you without spoiling anything. The story reads like short stories. Wow. Well, that was an interesting description. Short stories are usually short. Well done. So yeah, it does read like a collection of short stories, but they are all connected, and they are told by one character to another. So yeah, you just learn more about how they're connected when you read further on. So yeah, I really liked it. It is extreme horror for sure. It is trying to shock you, trying to be disgusting, and yeah, I really like these short story-esque telling of one story. And yeah, I was surprised. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. So if you're into extreme horror and just want to read something short in between, I highly recommend this one. Next up is a book that only exists as an ebook, I believe. So I've read it on Kindle. I don't even know if there's an English translation of it or if the German book was a translation, because I couldn't find any other language, but the author's name sounds kind of English, so I don't know what's up with that. But it is about a lottery, not a fun lottery at all. And it follows a son and his dad who are going to this lottery, supposedly to just watch what's going to happen. But then it turns out that the father actually makes his son to join this horrific lottery. So yeah, we follow the son for a huge part of the story, but there are also other perspectives. And yeah, the lottery is really weird. Like, you have this kind of wheel that you have to turn, and then there are, well, interesting challenges on it that you have to do. And yeah, it's also extreme horror, very disgusting, very sexual stuff in there to shock you. And yeah, if you can't handle that, please don't pick it up. It's really disgusting. And yeah, we also follow the perspective of a woman who lives at this lottery and how she is, well, kind of surviving. And then we also read from, I think, people that watch the lottery online. I think there were some snippets in there as well. I think it's really interesting that it's not only about the son's perspective in it. It makes the whole story seem more complex than it is. And yeah, there's also a different subplot in there after the lottery itself, which was like, it was weird to say the least, but I loved it somehow. And I don't know, it's really sick. But if you like this kind of stuff, maybe check it out. I hope there's an English translation somewhere out there. Okay, the next book is not an extreme horror. It's not too disgusting. It's Mexican Gothic. And yeah, it reads like a Gothic for most of the part, but towards the end it does have more horror in it, which I really enjoyed. It also has a very interesting setting, interesting characters in it, and a great atmosphere as well, I believe. And I think it's also historical fiction. So yeah, all kinds of interesting stuff in there. I think most people know about Mexican Gothic at this point. It's the only book that I've read by Silvia Moreno Garcia so far. But yeah, I'm looking forward to reading more of her books because they all sound really cool. So yeah, this is part of my top 10 as well. And this is The Ritual by Adam Neville. Also the only book, I believe, by Adam Neville that I've read so far, but I hope to read more in the future. And this is very different from the other books so far because it's, well, essentially a lot like Blair Witch Project. So if you enjoy that, maybe pick this up. It has also a movie adaptation, so that's great. I watched the movie before knowing that it's a book, then read the book, and then watched the movie again. So yeah, I really love it. I think the book is better in terms of conveying good atmosphere. I think that's really good in this one. But the movie adaptation is really cool in terms of the... Oh no. Whoops. I saw it coming and I just watched it happen anyway. Anyway, so where was I? Yeah, the book is better in terms of conveying atmosphere, but I think the movie does the depiction of the... Oh no, not again, come on. I think the book is trying to tell me something. Yep. Yeah, I think it does. Maybe it's haunted. Great, amazing. Let's hope it'll stay this time. So, the movie is better in depicting the horror aspects in the second half of the book. I think that was way better in the movie. I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, the setting and the depiction of one specific creature, I hope it didn't spoil anything, is really good in the movie. But yeah, the descent into madness and just the atmosphere of the forest is so well written in the book. Yeah, this actually follows a group of men who haven't seen each other for some time now, and they just want to meet again, do something fun. And I don't know why they think that hiking in in the wilderness somewhere, mountainous areas, would be fun, and they want to take a shorter way to their goal, to wherever they wanted to end the journey. And yeah, that way or path leads through a weird forest, and they will obviously be lost in the woods, discover weird shit. Stuff is happening to the group and individual members within that group, and yeah, it's just about surviving in there, trying to get out of the forest. And I love that kind of stuff. I love survival stories. I love if it takes place in just one big area and really focuses on the psychological horror. So yeah, that's really nicely done in this one. And book number 5 is World War Z. This is also a movie adaptation, but I don't really recommend the movie. It's not really... well, it's loosely based on the book, let's put it that way. It has some scenes from it in there, but the book is something else entirely, and I love it much more than the movie. I mean, the movie has the great wall scene with all the zombies coming up it. That's great. Love it. But, yeah, not too much interesting stuff besides that. So yeah, the book is split up into different parts, talking about how the zombie invasion happened right at the beginning, then talking about the middle, how is everyone dealing with it, and then it's also, I think, about how is it going to end years later, what are we going to do, how will it affect the world in the future, and so on. And yeah, it has all kinds of different perspectives. This might be the book with the most POVs in it that I've read. I don't know, but there are really many. You don't really follow one character in it, unlike as in the movie. It's really about different experiences from all kinds of different countries in the world, all kinds of different times when it takes place, all different kinds of, opinions on it and what to do. So yeah, it's not character driven at all. If you don't like that, maybe don't pick it up. I don't know, because I love it so much. I don't really want to say that you shouldn't pick it up, but yeah, I'm not into character driven books, so that was perfect for me. I loved especially the parts about different countries, like there's some Asian stuff in there as well, and you wouldn't believe that if you've only seen the movie. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's a very good zombie book for sure. And at number 4 we have a Paul Tremblay book, finally. It's A Head Full of Ghosts. It's a novel, not short stories by him, and yeah, it is about ghosts, and I usually don't like ghost stories, but this one was very good. I don't know why, but I just loved it. So this is basically about a family with 2 daughters, and they are filming a documentary style series, I believe, about the... I don't know what it was about. Was it about the ghost haunting the place? I believe it was. So that was really cool, and you read from the perspectives of one of the daughters. I don't know if the POV changed. It might have. It's been a while since I've read it. But yeah, I loved that way of reading the story. And yeah, you're always guessing whether there is a ghost and whom to trust. Are these characters really telling the truth, and so on. I love that kind of stuff. And yeah, Paul Tremblay's stories are usually really, really cool, so this one is amazing as well. And the ending was really good as well. I didn't think that it would turn out that way, but that was quite cool indeed. And the third best horror book I've ever read is, of course, a book by Stephen King. He had to have some spot in this list. I could have picked even more than that, but I just want to display more authors than just Stephen King in a list. So yeah, I picked this one. This is The Long Walk in English. And yeah, it's originally published under his pen name Richard Bachman, but yeah, everyone knows that it's Stephen King now. So yeah, I really like this story. I know it's not the best Stephen King for many people, but yeah, I really loved it because it again is about just survival, psychological horror. Nothing much is happening. We're just focusing on this one character and this one setting throughout the whole book, and it's basically just about walking. Just walking, nothing else, and never stopping because you will be dead by then. So yeah, it's a competition of boys, and they all have to walk in a certain way, and yeah, whoever is alive at last will win. So yeah, this can take just a few hours, can take days until you're the only one left. And I love the concept, love the execution, really, really good atmosphere in there. It's a rather long book, considering that it's only about walking, but it was very fast-paced in some way. The ending was amazing as well, and yeah, I would reread it again and again. And at number 2, we have the Southern Reach trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer, starting with Annihilation, which is right here. This is also the German edition. I just love these covers. And yeah, I didn't know if it's going to be the number 1 horror book or number 2. It's so hard to decide, really, because I love all of these books. And I really love Annihilation. I also love the movie adaptation, which is quite different from the book in some ways, but yeah, just as amazing. Again, it has survival in it. It has just one setting to explore, to learn about. Weird stuff is happening. No one knows what's going on. You don't know whom to trust. And there's body horror in it, I believe. And just all science fiction also. Science fiction horror is always great. And each book in the trilogy reads very different. Like the first one is pretty much the movie, except for some parts in it. So it's about this woman who is exploring this weird area that is changing everything in it. And there have been explorations before that, and they all failed. So yeah, not a fun thing to go into if you know that you might not get out again. And yeah, it's just so cool. I love all the scientific stuff in it and the horror stuff in it. Characters are interesting. And yeah, the second book takes place within a building. I think the organization that plans all these explorations. And yeah, that was really fascinating as well. Very atmospheric. I still remember one scene that was just so effective for me. And then the third book, didn't like it as much, but it brought a whole new thing into the story again. So yeah, it's just a very, very cool story. And again, I've only read this trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer so far, but I do own more by him, and I'm really looking forward to reading more. They read a bit confusing. You don't get any answers, essentially. It's really about the journey and not getting answers to everything. But I think that is even pushing the horror even more if you don't get answers to everything. And yeah, it's also about nature a lot. And the number one horror book is going to be House of Leaves for me by Mark Z. Danilewski. It doesn't read like a horror book for most of the time, but it does have horror in it for sure. It has exploration in it again. It has different POVs. It takes place over a really long period of time. It's about a weird house and a family that is living in there and exploring it and just slowly noticing all the stuff that is happening in there. But it's also about this notebook that they found, and then it's also about taking your camera and recording what is happening, and you're reading it from this perspective. So yeah, found footage is really interesting, and it's really well done in that. I would love to see a movie adaptation or series adaptation of House of Leaves. It would be amazing. Really, it would. I would so love to see that. And again, it's really confusing. It's very experimental in writing, but I think it adds to the story because it makes sense what is happening in there. Because it's about a house that is becoming bigger than it looks from the outside, and it's very labyrinthian, as you can see from the cover, and it draws inspiration from so many different things. I was researching it when I was reading, and if a book has that kind of effect on me that I want to take notes, I want to research about it, I want to learn about how other people see the story, what do they think, like, that's a very, very good sign. And then it also took me just a few days to get through because it's a very long book. It does take some time to get into it, but I just loved it. It has footnotes, extensive footnotes. They sometimes take up multiple pages, and there's also a glossary or appendix it's called, right, at the end of the book that you sometimes switch to, so you're reading multiple pages on there and then you have to switch back to the normal parts of the story again. There's also a riddle in there. You get some letters in there to read from, and they are written in a way to have a hidden message in it that you can discover as a reader. It's not something that is told within the book, like, you have to do it for yourself. I love that kind of stuff. Like, I love riddles. I love everything that I've talked about now, and there's mythology in there and just so many theories about what is really happening, and yeah, so many different POVs at the end, just talking about how this house affects other people. And yeah, it was so good. It kept me up all night basically, and I really love it. I want to reread it eventually, but I know that I will have to really dedicate my time to it, and that's just not something that I can do right now because it is complex, it is confusing. I really love it, even though it's not a horror book for many people. It affected me personally as a horror book should. So yeah, just try it out if you're interested in it. And yeah, this was my top 10 horror book list. I hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe you have some similar favorite horror books like me, or maybe you have some favorite books that are similar to mine but I didn't mention them, so maybe I haven't read them. That would be interesting to see. And yeah, just like always, you can share your top list in the comments below. And I hope you'll have a great rest of your day. Take care as always, and happy reading. Bye!